4-2 Phillies in 10 innings as we welcome you to Phillies Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. Along with Ben Davis, I'm Michael Barkan. Out to Pittsburgh, check in with Ruben Amaro Jr. in a few moments. All the interviews, Rob Thompson, player interviews as well. Ben, the numbers you got to know, 44-16. 44-16, that's the Phillies record when they get to that 4-run mark. There was some question as to whether or not they were going to do it tonight. They do in the end game, courtesy of Rhys Hoskins, his first 4-for-4 game. Not first ever 4-hit game, third one of those, but 4-for-4 for Rhys. And a nice win.
It was a special night for the Phillies first baseman and a great night for Bailey Falter. He was outstanding tonight. Really kept the Phillies in the ball game when their bats were very silenced against Jose Quintana. Able to pull it out late in this ball game, but Rhys Hoskins, well done. He was just staying through the baseball tremendously tonight. Nice to see him get a big 2-out knock earlier in the ball game to tie the ball game up after a base running blunder by Odubel. But overall, you got to tip your cap to Rhys Hoskins. This offense, they stayed through it. Ended up with 11 hits in this ball game. I mean, the way they were going, you didn't think they were ever going to get there, but they did. Great W. 8 Ks. You kidding me? That's awesome for Bailey Falter. He was dominant tonight. I like that he was very good glove side. So into righties, away to lefties. He was commanding that side of the plate, and that eventually opened up the outside part to the righties.
From glove side to upside, and we talked about this a little bit during the pregame program because we want to see what Bailey Falter has to offer. He's been up and down this season between here and AAA. He's just 25 years of age. What do you think his upside is, Ben?
Well, I think upside is if he can hold the velocity. I know velocity isn't everything. It's all about location when you're pitching. We know that. But the velocity was a tick up tonight. You like to see that. If anything, in my humble opinion, I think he's more of a bullpen piece, a guy that maybe can come in and give you 2 or 3 innings, possibly. That left-handed, the ball does get on you at times with that long stride and the lengthy delivery. So that is something that played a lot tonight. He worked ahead in counts. He just threw 80 pitches in 6 innings. That is as efficient as you can be. So in my mind, I see him more of a bullpen piece, a long inning guy, but you never know what the Phillies have in store for him.
All right, speaking of the Phillies, let's go across state and check in with Ruben Amaro Jr., the former Phillies general manager and player. And Ruben, when you talk about this win tonight, doesn't matter that they're playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. You got to get one against this team. They did. Talk about Bailey Falter, the way he pitched, and the clutch hitting of Rhys Hoskins.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the fact that Bailey Falter was throwing his fastball with a lot of conviction tonight. I mean, for me, he has not been able to locate his fastball as well in the previous games. And for him to come out and throw with that kind of conviction, I was really impressed by it. He was moving the ball around the zone. He was efficient, throwing strikes, getting swings and misses, and it just looked like he had a lot more life on that fastball, which made it, later on he had to make some adjustments because they were starting to get on his fastball. And then JT did a good job of having him spin some balls up there and change some speeds. But heck of an effort by him and staying in the game, and then, you can talk about that bullpen. I mean, these guys, this is a complete turnaround for me. They threw 4 innings. I think they only let up like 4 base runners or 5 base. I mean, they did a really good job. I mean, a little scary there with Alvarado there for a bit, but he ended up making the pitches when he had to make them, and just a great effort by the pitchers all the way around.
Let me ask you this, Ruben, before we turn it over to Ben, and that is, any chance that Bailey Falter could blossom into this role? And I'm not talking about next season or anything, but could he progress in a manner that maybe Dave Dombrowski looks at things over the next couple of days prior to the deadline and says, you know what, we're going to ride with him?
It's possible, but I know that Dave Dombrowski is one of those guys that wants to try to be aggressive, and I know that there's not a whole lot of pitching depth. After Bailey Falter, I mean, where are you going to go? And you're talking about Christian Sanchez, and to be honest with you, I just don't think that's enough. I got to believe that you want to try to create as much depth as you possibly can. I know there's been some rumors tossed around about the possibility of acquiring the guy that pitched tonight against the Phillies in Quintana, but I got to tell you, he pitched a great game under the circumstances as well, because he's got to be hearing and swirling rumors about the fact that they're going to go get another pitcher, and for him to dial it up and do the job that he did tonight, that's doubly effective.
No, Ruby, look at this offense tonight. They ended up with 11 hits. It never looked like they were going to actually get there. They took a ton of fastballs tonight and missed a ton of fastballs in hitters' counts, but able to turn around later in the game, especially staying in the middle of the diamond, staying within themselves, and not taking those big swings.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I think Quintana does pretty well because you're right. They did not get on the fastballs much, but it's, I think, partially because Quintana does change speeds very well. And I think that in the back of your mind, you're thinking off speed, off speed, off speed, and then he can zip that fastball in there. Even though it's not, he doesn't throw it 100 miles an hour, he knows how to pitch and he changes them up. And I think that's probably what his biggest strength is. But they kept grinding out the at-bats. And big two-out base hits by both Kyle Schwarber and with the ball off the wall. And then Rhys Hoskins with the big base hit to tie it up. And Rhys just had a superb game using the entire field. And then, the big blow to center field on the 0-2 mistake.
By virtue of a tiebreak, the Phillies, even though they are tied with the Cardinals, they have the tiebreaker. We're putting them in there as the wild card team after the century mark. They are 100 games into this season, Ben Davis, and they have won 3 straight, 4 of 5, 6 of their last 10, and it looks like the only you can play. Looks like they're heating up again.
They are heating up, but they're doing the little things right. There's a big series against the Braves. We obviously know what happened with the Cubs, and you got to put that in your rear view. But the type of baseball that they've played the last couple games, it's reassuring to me, Michael, because if you look at it, they didn't do anything offensively, especially after last night where they looked tremendous offensively. And then tonight they come out and they were just stale. I don't know what other way to put it other than Rhys Hoskins, who scratched across a couple. Vierling had a couple hits early on, but that was it. But the way they turned it around, it's like the approach changed kind of like in that 7th inning, and everything started to really click for them. And that's what I like to see is a game of adjustments. We always talk about the pitcher's main objective is to throw off your timing. Well, Quintana did that tonight, but the Phillies started to make adjustments from at-bat to at-bat, inning to inning. And that's what I like to see, the professionalism of those at-bats. They stuck with it. They grinded it out, ended up with 4 runs and 11 hits.
Is he gets you solo shots. He'll get you solo shots. He doesn't get you enough of those. You start hitting those, and you start propelling your team to walk-offs or top of the 9th inning home runs and getting the lead. That's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And he's had the ability to do that. And, Lord, do not tick him off when he's in the box. We've seen it. We saw it up at Citi Field a couple years ago. If you do something, we saw it in St. Louis. Something was going on, and if you tick him off in the box, he will get the best of you. He has it's almost like he goes to a different level, and that's what I like about him, that inner desire that you're not getting the best of me, buddy boy.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. And that's what I like about Rhys.
They ought to throw at him at batting practice. Really get him going. Rob Thompson, postgame at Pittsburgh.
So a lot of good things in that when he really grinded. Hoskins swung it. Falter, he was huge, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was good. He was. It looked like his velocity was up a little bit, and he's throwing that fastball up in the zone. That he's got all that extension, and so if his velo is 92, 93, it plays up because of the extension, and so he was getting the ball by him. He had a bunch of strikeouts in a row there, and he gave up the home run that just kind of got in the front row in right field. But I thought he did an outstanding job. I really did.
That was a really impressive outing by Brogdon. I think he only needed like 8 pitches or something to get through.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of him lately?
Just, his velo's back up. When he came back from the time off, it was down a little bit when he first came back, but it's steadily climbed. Changeup's good, cutter's good. He's pitching with a lot of confidence. He's throwing strikes, and he's really been effective. The entire bullpen, really. We did 4 innings where we just kept him at bay and didn't give up a run, so and gave us a chance to come back and win it in the 10th.
How about the way Hoskins all night long on base, swinging it, tied the game,
and then win the game. Yeah, he swung about good. And last night he got a base hit to right field, which was kind of a nice sign. When he stays on the ball, it's kind of an indicator for me that he's seeing it and he's making adjustments. So.
Did you think Odubel should have scored on the Schwarber hit to right?
No, not necessarily, but he kind of slowed up between second and third before Dusty held him, and I just asked him why he stopped running, and he knows better. I mean, he knows that he needs to run until he's stopped. So I'm not sure if he can score.
Yeah.
But I know he can't if he's not running hard.
Right. Yeah.
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 Or anybody.
Yeah.
Do you think, human nature being human nature, Falter had some motivation tonight, knowing that the deadline is looming, you guys are shopping, that could be his spot?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, you'd have to ask him that, but you know, I think anybody that comes up here should be motivated to pitch, you know, to stay here, whether it's trade deadline or not, you know. And he, like I said before the game, you know, he's given us a couple of pretty good outings early in the season, and one in Seattle for sure that I know of, and there was another one too. But so, you know, that outing night doesn't really surprise me, you know.
Rob, I know obviously there's a lot of spotlight on Schwarber this year. He's leading the league in home runs, but how good is it to have a guy like Hoskins hitting right behind you?
Oh, it's huge because he does. You know, he's an on-base and slug guy too. He walks a lot, sees a lot of pitches, grinds at bats out, and he's got power. And you know, so those two guys, 1 and 2, have created a lot of runs for us all year long.
When you look at this hitting, and as you said earlier, slow to come, but once it did, man, open the floodgates, and look at that 4 for 4 from Rhys Hoskins. 4 for 4 with a walk. First 4 for 4 game in his career.
Yeah, he was just dynamic. He started off with a couple singles to right, and then that big one that tied the ball game with 2 outs and Dubel on third base, and then obviously the big blow with the 2-run homer there in the 10th inning. Just on his game tonight, a nice play at first base on the double play on that ball that O'Neill Cruz hit. The ball was almost 116 miles an hour off the bat. Woo-wee! Good luck getting in front of that one.
That'll smoke you. Here's Rhys Hoskins with a little smile on his face after a great night.
Have a day, huh?
It's a big win. It's a big win. I think, you know, especially after yesterday, we were looking to kind of run off that momentum a little bit, and I think they maybe snatched it back a little bit in the 9th. Quintana was good. Mixed his speeds well, mixed his pitches well, kept us off balance. But I think kind of like we've had all year, we just don't quit. There's definitely fight in this group. And I think there's a little extra confidence in the dugout because we know how well the guys in the bullpen are throwing the ball. That if we can keep it close, they're going to keep it close. And if we can take the lead or tie it, we got a chance to win the game. So, pretty good game plan for tonight. Bailey threw the ball extremely well. Got into the 6th. Nice to see him late in the game. Guys with nasty stuff came in, and we're nasty. Big win.
Was that an 0-2 cutter?
I have to go back and look. To me, it seemed a little straight. I don't know what the speed of the pitch was. It just ended up in the middle of the plate, and can't miss those. Just can't miss those. I didn't.
How do you look at the upcoming deadline with regards to this club? What is your expectation?
I mean, I know who's running the show, right? I know what he's done in the past. He likes to add. I feel like we've done enough that we're obviously right in this thing. That adding something makes sense. It's above me to decide on what. I'm sure you could go a bunch of different directions, but I think anytime you're in a position where you're adding, you're gaining players, you're gaining good players, you're gaining players that other teams want, you get better, and getting better down the stretch for something that, you know, meaningful games and trying to get into October is, what more can you ask, right? Like it's going to be a grind. We're going to be in this thing. Obviously got guys coming back too, and I'm sure those are going to be our biggest additions. Anytime you can add an MVP back, it's obviously it's good for the club. So hoping we add something. Anytime you're adding good players, it's a good thing.